dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we are talking about No Ordinary Life by Suzanne Redfearn. Now, this book is very special to me because one of you guys sent it to me. My dear friend Kim. I will link her channel down below. You need to go and check her out. She posts a lot of vlogs. Her and her husband, her whole family are in them. They're just such sweet, wonderful people that if you don't know them already, you need to. So check her out down below. And when you do, let her know that I sent you. Anyway, this book was very interesting. I have things that I loved about it, and I have things that I didn't love about it. So first we'll start off with kind of a general synopsis of the story, and then we'll get in more to the nitty-gritty of it. So this book is about a woman named Faye, and when we meet her at the beginning of the book, she's a mom with 3 kids, a 4-year-old named Molly, an 8-year-old named Tom, and a 12-year-old named Emily. And her husband has kind of just disappeared. The whole time she's known him, she's really known that he wasn't the settling down type, and he was a long-haul truck driver, so often he'd be gone for weeks at a time, and then he'd come home, and that seemed to, for a while, satisfy his desire to not settle down too much. But about 8 months ago, he left on a trip with his truck, and he hasn't come back since. Like, he calls every so often, so she knows he's fine, but he's just kind of abandoned them. And at the beginning of the book, we're to the point where times are really tough for Faye and her kids, and they have to pack up and leave the town that they love. And they have to move to Los Angeles, where Faye's mom lives, and they're gonna move in with her until Faye can find a better job and they can kind of just get back on their feet. Then one day when Faye is out job hunting, they're down on the pier, and there's musicians, you know, just playing, street musicians playing music, and Molly, the littlest one, she begins dancing and just having a lot of fun with these musicians, and it ends up getting filmed and it ends up getting put on YouTube. And somebody from Gap sees the video, like the clothing company, the Gap, sees the video, and they think Molly is just so adorable, and they hire her right away to be in a Gap's kids clothes commercial. And for that commercial, so Molly, the little girl, she's 4, she gets an agent right away, and the agent tells the mom that Molly's going to get $10,000 for this commercial, and the agent is almost apologetic. She's saying, you know, it's because Molly's, you know, new, this is as much as we could get, you know, down the road she'll get more. But of course to Faye, $10,000 sounds like a lot of money, because since moving to Los Angeles, her car's broken down, it's had to be written off, just one thing after the other. So the clothing commercial is an absolute hit. Once it airs on TV, they start getting noticed when they go places. One of their old friends from the town that they used to live in, he kind of gives Faye a warning, telling her to really watch out and to be careful, because I mean, we've all heard horror stories about child actors and how much it can mess them up. So from there, Faye gets a call from Molly's agent, and Molly's agent has a audition for Molly, and it's for a TV show that Faye and her kids have loved watching. It's called The Foster Band, and it's about this family that's full of foster kids, and they have a band together, and it's like this whole thing, and the kids have just always loved it. So Faye's really excited when she finds out that the show wants Molly to come in for an audition. So as nerve-wracking as it is, you know, Molly gets ready, and there's just something about this kid. She's very charismatic, very full of energy and full of life, and she goes in there and she just kills it, the audition. And from there, she's quickly hired. And so filming begins, and soon we begin to see what long, grueling days these kids have working on this show. So like, there's rules for how many hours that they're supposed to be on set working, but we see the way that the production companies get around that is, like, they'll have, in between their scenes, they'll have the kids and their parents go wait outside in their cars, or, you know, across the street in a restaurant for hours until it's time to come back for the next scene. And so they're really just while technically not breaking the law, they're so breaking the law. And while this is going on for Molly, we see that Faye's oldest daughter, Emily, is really struggling. She didn't want to move when they had to leave their town. You know, she loved it there. She had friends there. She was very bitter about having to leave. The one thing I will say is, even though Emily's only supposed to be 12 years old, the way the character's written, and as time goes on too, a lot of the actions that the character does, it reads more like a 16 or 17-year-old than a 12-year-old. I guess that's what's supposed to be the most shocking about it, is that she is 12 years old, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So the days go on, they're grueling, they're long, but Molly's a real trooper. She gets it every time, you know. They start calling her One Take Molly because she's so good at it. So Faye starts meeting, you know, the adults on the set, like the directors and the DP and the writers and whatnot, and she starts noticing that a lot of them are really shady and just really characters you'd want to keep your eye on because they don't seem like good people. Although there are some, you know, that are good. Definitely not the majority of them. And you just really get a creepy feeling from a lot of them that they're in it for all the wrong reasons. And that they really don't care about the welfare of the children at all. Which, I mean, shouldn't be that surprising, I guess, right? So we see Faye kind of strike up a flirtation with Chris, who's the director of the show. I believe director or producer. Like, he's one of the big guys on campus, you know. And she strikes up a flirtation with him, and she kind of takes it really seriously, and she puts a lot into it. But then, you know, she quickly sees him kissing and being intimate with other women around the set, and so she kind of gets over that pretty quick. Then after a few months have passed, all of a sudden Sean, the children's dad and Faye's technically still husband, but ex-husband, he all of a sudden shows up in town. And Faye's mom, who she's staying with, she's like, you know, you need to be careful. Obviously, he's seen Molly on TV, and he's come back now because he wants a cut of the cash. And Faye's like, you know, don't be ridiculous. Like, he's not a bad guy. He's just not one for commitment. That's not why he's back. But of course that is why he's back. Because she has his phone one night for some reason. I can't remember why. But as she sees a text message come in from a person who must be his girlfriend wherever he's been living for the past 8 months. And she's kind of like, hey, have you found out how much Molly got paid for the Gap commercial, and how much are we gonna get from it? And so that really just confirmed for Faye that her mom was right. So at this point, Sean doesn't know yet that Molly's been hired to be a part of the foster band. He only knows about the Gap commercial. He doesn't know about the ton of money Molly's making now. Another thing that starts getting a little creepy as time goes by is that Molly starts to get a number of very inappropriate fans. And there's one man, he's a grown man, he's about 23 or 24, and Faye starts to notice as they're leaving their house every morning to go to set, this guy is standing out on the sidewalk waving at them. And at first they kind of think it's nothing, but then Faye notices he's there every morning without fail, rain or shine. And then she starts to notice that he's even now there when they get home in the evening, so eventually she tells Molly to stop waving at him. Because Molly, you know, she's a little girl, she's just friendly and innocent. When she sees him waving, she immediately waves back. And then things start being delivered to the house, flowers, letters from this man that are just very inappropriate, really creepy for an adult to be saying to a 4-year-old. So Faye very quickly gets in touch with the police, even though there's really not much they can do at this point, at least if they have the evidence like the letters and things. In case it ever escalates, it's already on record that this has been going on, so that was a pretty smart move, I think. So that's really the gist of the whole novel. The book just goes on telling us about how life is for a child actor and their family. Because eventually, not only is Molly involved in the show, but eventually Tom gets involved, the 8-year-old. And then, after even more time, Emily, the 12-year-old, wants to get involved, but she auditions, but she doesn't really have the same talent that her younger siblings have. So now not only is she bitter from having to leave her home, but now she's feeling rejected because nobody wants to hire her, and it's just snowballing. And she starts hanging out with some of the older members of the cast of the show in the evenings. She ends up on a few occasions getting drunk with them and fooling around with one of the boys who's like 13 or 14. And it's just like, she's 12. Like that, I found that very shocking. Because when I think of when my daughter was 12, like she was very much still, you know, playing around, playing outdoors with her friends. So that's a little creepy. So what I really liked about this book is it felt like a fairly honest and legitimate look at what life is probably like for families of child actors. You know, that's not really a situation that a lot of us find ourselves in. And it's just very interesting. And I think to a degree, as we watch these family channels blowing up on YouTube, although it's definitely different than having to go on set, you know, all day and work like that, it's interesting seeing these, like, you know, family vlog channels blow up and become so popular. And it makes you wonder what kind of effect it's having on the children that, you know, the families aren't going to really know until years down the road what kind of, you know, what kind of damage it's done. I mean, hopefully none, but we won't know because this is really the first wave of such a thing. So, and it just really makes you wonder. And it also makes you wonder in terms of the fans, like fans becoming, you know, inappropriately obsessed with these children in these vlogs. It's just what I was reading, that's what I thought of a lot, because, you know, YouTube's what I can relate to and what I know and what I watch the most of. So it really makes you think. So I liked that. I also liked that Faye, the mom, she's a flawed character, and I really like that. I don't like it when characters are perfect and when they do everything perfect, and, you know, she's flawed. She's just human and she's doing the best she can. And now for the things I didn't like. The writing is good. It's well written. The story is well written. It's when it comes to the sort of interactions between characters that things got a little weird for me. And I was just like, nobody would say that. Or like, at one point, Faye drops her coffee cup. So she drops the cup on the floor. It's like a paper takeout coffee cup. And she says that there was only a sip in it, so it doesn't spill anywhere. So she's saying this, she dropped it, didn't spill anywhere. And then she says now she finds herself having to scramble onto her knees to pick it up. You gotta scramble onto your knees? Can't you just pick it up? Like, it was just very dramatic. There are very dramatic sentences that don't fit into the everyday life. Like, nobody would say it like that, nobody would word it like that, nobody would do it like that. I found that popped up many, many times. But that coffee one really stuck with me. So I didn't love that. I also, one thing that was another really big pet peeve of mine was Molly is 4, but the way that Suzanne wrote it, whenever Molly's talking, Suzanne has tried to write it the way a 4-year-old would say it. So there's a lot of W's, like it's written in baby talk. Let me see if I can find an example. Okay, I found an example. So there's a part where they're leaving their garage, and so they see that man who's always waving to them when they're leaving. And so Molly always talks in like little rhymes and sing songs and things like that, which was fine. That was fine. But it's the way it's written that drives me crazy. So the mom says, "Do you know that man?" So here, no, but he's always is then spelled A-W-L-A-Y-S, sweet. And then never is spelled N-E-V-E-W-R. And then sour is spelled S-O-U-W-R. And every line Molly has in this book is written like that, and I hate it. So there you go. I don't like that. There's no need for it. You can just write it as it is. We know how 4-year-olds talk. You know, I can hear it in my mind how a 4-year-old would say it. You don't have to absolutely butcher the words. My personal preference. But yeah, all in all, it was a good story. I'm not going to go into the spoilers here. I feel like this book talk's already gone on long enough, but suffice to say, there is all kinds of drama that kicks off towards the end, but I will say it is a happy ending for everyone, so you don't have to worry in case you're worried anything bad's gonna happen to the child. It's not gonna happen. So yeah, there you go, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like I said, I liked the story. It was interesting. I've never read a book about, you know, the life behind the scenes for child stars. I thought that was a fun take. I don't know how Suzanne knows so much about it. I don't know if maybe she was, you know, if she has experience with it or if it's just a lot of research, but it felt authentic and I liked that. Just did not like writing out the baby talk. So anyway, you guys, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope you enjoyed yesterday's vlog, and I will see you guys on Monday with a June favorites video. Bye guys.